Emily, you ready?
Yep, hold on, I'm just getting the recording started. One
Okay.
second.
Emily, you ready?
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jameson Bobbin. I'm the board chair for the Economic Development Alliance. I really thank you all for joining our investor meeting. Today's Tuesday, May 11th. As always, packed agenda, so we will motor right through it. We did have our board meeting last week, and we're able to get the majority of us in person, which I got to tell you felt really good. It was great to kind of get together in one room, socially distanced, do it safely, but actually be able to kind of look some other people in the eye and conduct business. So that was fantastic. We were able to meet at the Center of Innovation with Fort Lewis College, and that was a great space to be able to kind of spread out. Primary topics that we covered really were the continued discussion around affordable, attainable workforce housing. That seems like a constant conversation right now, and it continues to be a focus, I think, of our organization and many others in the community. Really took a little bit of a deeper look at unemployment rates, both on a national level, a state level, and then locally, and reviewed some of those trends, and then trying to kind of iron down dates for a summit. So obviously it's pandemic, not totally sure what that's going to look like, but right now we're moving forward, hoping that everything is open enough to where we can put on a summit again this year and get to a return of normal. And then really as an organization trying to kind of proactively figure out what is next and where do we as an organization need to step into the business community and help, not being totally certain what's going to happen next with COVID and pandemic and opening and all that good stuff. So that was a very brief recap of the board meeting, and I'll turn it over to Mike French, our executive director, for his update.
Good morning. Thank you, Jameson. As noted, we had a pretty full board meeting, and we touched on a bunch of topics. One of them is the capacity restrictions and current health order. That health order actually expires this Saturday, the 15th. Brian Devine will talk to us about what he's expecting, whether it's an extension or a modification. It seems like there's some good news in that we have a positive trend in the last 10 days. Although vaccination levels seem to be leveling out significantly. The other good news is we're at 63% for adult population. And yesterday, the FDA announced that Pfizer will be approved for 12 to 16-year-olds. So that may really help us in terms of herd immunity. Jameson mentioned unemployment. The county has finally caught up to the state. Historically, the county has performed and outperformed the state in terms of unemployment. Prior to the pandemic, we were as low as 1.9%, while the state was hovering much higher, and the federal number was much higher than that. And then for some reason in the fall, we jumped. I think it has to do with the hospitality sector and some furloughs and such. We jumped significantly higher than the state. There was a significant gap, and we've actually closed that gap in the last month or so. So with the county's at 6.5%, while the state is at 6.4%. So a very small difference. Today we have Deborah Salafia with us from Workforce. She will talk to us a little bit about unemployment. So thank you for joining us. The Alliance has been working on workforce housing. We actually stood up an interest group, and we're actively applying for a grant to fund a consultant to help us with an investment strategy. Just yesterday, the Treasury announced guidance for the American Rescue Plan Act money, which the municipalities townships and the county will receive this month, at least half of it. The balance of it will come in 2022. But we now have some guidance about how that money can be spent. And obviously, workforce housing is a top priority, and we want to provide as much of a strategy on how that money can be spent as possible. As Jameson alluded to, summit date is now inked, Tuesday, September 21st. We're excited to do this live at the Ski-U Conference Center, and we will also do a hybrid component via video so that we can extend it out, not knowing what's going to happen in the next few months, but we're very excited to get back to a live event, however that works and however that looks. We are currently looking for a location for our next membership meeting to potentially go live. The membership meeting will be pushed by a week, which actually helps us, to June 15th versus June 8th, and this is due to the Memorial Day weekend. So expect some notification from that from us. With that, I will turn it back over to Jameson and Mr. Devine.
Super. Thanks, Mike. Great update. Really enjoyed the board meeting last week. Brian Devine, give us some good news.
I charge extra for good news, Jameson. I want to just thank the Alliance for accommodating my report this morning, squeezing me into a busy agenda. I'll just give you a 1-minute situation report on COVID-19. We do have good news, and that's based substantially around La Plata County's vaccination rate. As Mike mentioned, we've got over 60% of the 16 and up population in La Plata County who've received at least one dose. This comes out to about 46% of the total population being fully vaccinated in La Plata County. And there's a lot of research out there that 50% is when you start to see cases drop and stay low in an area when you have 50% of your total population fully vaccinated. So we are approaching that marker in La Plata County, and we're even starting to see the effects of that. The last week, we've been averaging about 8 cases per day. That's a lot more than we would prefer, but it's actually down from most of the winter and early spring. And that translates to about 100 cases per 100,000 residents per week in La Plata County, which those of you who remember the old Colorado COVID-19 dial will remember that's the boundary between blue and yellow. So we are right on that borderline, and we've been able to stay there. Again, we think largely because of the vaccination rate. That doesn't mean we're done. We don't need to be satisfied with 50% of the population being vaccinated. In fact, the more people we can get, the lower and lower case rates grow. And we start to not need other kind of measures like physical distancing and masks to contain the pandemic, because the vaccines do that for us. So we're getting very, very close to that point. Mike also mentioned that we're expecting authorization for 12 through 15-year-olds to be vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. The FDA has approved that. We do need the CDC to approve it as well, which we expect as soon as Thursday. In anticipation of this, providers in La Plata County have been saving their Pfizer product for the end of the week. There are Pfizer clinics this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in La Plata County, which we're very much hoping will be able to accept 12 through 15-year-olds. And you can find that clinic information on our website. As far as public health orders are concerned, the current state and local public health orders do expire this coming weekend. We are currently taking a look at data to determine what needs to be in the next order and what needs to be in a formal health advisory. We do anticipate issuing both an order and a formal health advisory on Sunday the 16th to cover probably the next 30-day period. I can tell you everybody should be planning on continuing to wear face coverings indoors in public indoor settings. In that next order, that is by far the most cost-effective measure that we have to control the pandemic until we have vaccination rates much, much, much higher. As far as 6-foot physical distancing indoors, that may become an advisory starting next weekend or this coming weekend. And we know that the state orders that require physical distancing and masks for certain types of gatherings are going to be extended. Some of those have already been extended through June 3rd. So the second half of May is likely to be a gradual step down from the first half of May as vaccination rates continue to go up, especially people getting fully vaccinated who maybe now have only received 1 dose out of 2. Then we would expect to move more things from orders to advisories. One thing I want to say is as different local jurisdictions, different local public health agencies take slightly different tacks with this using slightly different language, it's going to be really, really important to remember that there are state and local public health orders, and the most protective of those orders is actually what governs your business operation. So if there's a state order that has an exception, a local order that does not have an exception, then that local order applies in that jurisdiction. We're starting to see cities and counties around the state passing all kinds of ordinances and resolutions with different language. If they are less protective than a state or a local public health order from a local public health agency, those do not apply. So it's going to be really important that business operators take a look at our website, stay in communication with us. When we issue orders, we of course distribute it to Emily and Mike for their membership, as well as to every other economic group we can think of in town. So we will do our best to make that clear, but there is likely to be a mix of orders, resolutions, and ordinances out there this summer. Be really, really important to understand that the most protective orders in La Plata County are the ones that govern a business operation. We're very much looking forward to the summer, people getting outdoors as much as possible. Lots of special events coming up that we've been working closely with, which I think we'll hear from some of them later today. Again, as long as we continue to get vaccinated at the current rates and see our case rates drop, we are headed back for a very enjoyable summer here in La Plata County. Thanks very much for your time.
Super, Brian. Thanks so much for the update. We appreciate it. We'll move to Moore Compton and Gage Sippy. They're going to kind of talk through the Durango Mesa Park progress and give us an update on that project. Morning, Moore and Gage.
Good morning. Maura, you're muted.
Thank you, Gage. Thank you so much for having us this morning. And Mike, thank you for working through our slides. So just a quick update. I know that we talked to the board in early March, but with more members, I'll just do a really quick recap. I know that there is information that's out there, but we'll try to succinctly tell you exactly where we are right now. So there was planning done in 2017 and 2018 that culminated with a large budgeted project of about $150 million. We've spent 2019 and 2020 scaling and refining that down to what we're calling a phase 1 plan. And that really allows in the next 2 to 5 years, access and additional events to be held on the Mesa. What does phase 1 incorporate? It'll incorporate a phase 1 fairgrounds piece that will be, extremely nice, very functional, and have additional assets that the current fairgrounds location does not have. It will also have the foundation is leading on Colorado's largest bike park and additional amenities and recreational opportunities to expand, what we currently, it's not that we don't currently have these in Durango, but it expands the use and it expands the space. And that's a really key important piece. And then as well, the foundation, when the time is right to have large gatherings, it's not in the near future, will continue to work on the cultural and music venue space so that we can have, a large summer concert series or cultural events. So that's really the focus of phase 1. Mike, if you can move to the next slide, please. Yeah, thanks. And this is really coming together. The foundation is really helping lead the way with this, working with the city, working with the county, so that this can happen and that it's not all on the taxpayer. We think that that's an important part of how to unlock, this momentous gift that was given to our community, but really for not only the community, but for the region and for the state. So what does it take to make this happen? Mike, next slide. We are working through some key infrastructure improvements. This includes the access point off Highway 3. We'd finished a traffic impact study. CDOT is currently working on a permit. That will most likely take a while longer. 2021 will really be where we work out a lot of the details, and we don't really see anything happening until probably 2022. So the Highway 3 infrastructure access point is key. We have to deal with an emergency access that we are working on. It involves a private landowner that's working with us on that. And then obviously additional infrastructure that's required up on the mesa to be able to open to the public. Mike, next one. And so the vision of what was kind of the grand scale of items really is going to have to come around with these smaller incremental phased approaches. And so phase 1 is critical to rolling out the longer term multi-generational build out of what the park can be, in 30, 40 years. Just one more slide, Mike. And then I'm going to have Gage jump in on a few additional pieces here, and then we can answer any questions really quickly.
So thanks, Maura. One of the things when Maura talks about the phase 1 approach to this, so the money that will be spent on the phase 1 effort is in the $15 million range. And so that includes monies coming from the county, the city, and the foundation itself. The exciting part about that is it'll create a lot of construction jobs as we start working on infrastructure pieces, all the way to the bike park level effort and the fairgrounds level effort. So all of those should provide some construction jobs, and then they will ultimately lead to sustaining jobs and have to help maintain those locations. For example, a bike park will not exist on its own once it's built. So we will have to have some paid staff that maintains that and helps run events from that location and things of that nature. So we will see some economic impact coming from the phase 1 efforts as we roll into 2022 within our community. The other piece of this is that this opens up new territory for amenities in Durango, and it potentially frees up territory within town, fairgrounds location, things like that could be used for future economic development and help that we need down in the city space. And so the Mesa is not a replacement for something. It is an addition to our community that has previously had a locked gate, if you will. So now we can unlock that and start developing amenities and opportunities up there for future economic development. And so again, from a timeline standpoint, in 2021, we will continue planning to begin construction in 2022, and that will last for phase 1 into 2024. And we'll have functioning amenities up there that will again start helping offload things from the fairground standpoint up to that location, and then providing some new amenities such as a bike park and other opportunities for a music venue at a later date and holding special events up in that location. Again, these will bring people to town. This will drive tourism, but it'll also drive local jobs within our community that are supporting these events and things of that nature. Events such as the Iron Horse Bicycle Classic that has paid staff. Other events will be able to continue to increase and do more events and provide additional jobs for more staffing related efforts. So we're excited to get this off the ground, and it's a great gift from the Katz family. And now the opportunity for this to be a public-private effort is something that hasn't been done in Durango on any scale. I think by far this will be one of the biggest philanthropic efforts and also one of the biggest public-private efforts in our community. And so I think we're just beginning to understand how we can unleash that in a good way to help drive future economic benefits for not only the Durango area, but our overall region going forward. So if you have information or inputs you'd like to provide us, Maura has provided the website location and how to reach us, and we certainly would be happy to answer any questions from anyone in the group.
Super. Thank you, Gage and Maura. Again, if there's any questions related to this development, don't hesitate to ask a question on the chat and we will get it answered. I'll turn it over to Elizabeth Marsh, Director of SCAPE. Morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. For those that don't know, SCAPE is the Southwest Colorado Accelerator Program for Entrepreneurs, and we operate through two different arms. We have a nonprofit arm that provides mentoring and technical assistance to growth companies to help them grow, and an investment fund arm that provides the investment that they need to get off the ground. Next slide, Mike. And so I was going to take a few minutes this morning and just introduce you to the companies that we're working with this year. We had 50 companies apply this year to be in the program, and we opened up the service area just a bit to accommodate some companies up in Ridgway and down in Farmington. So next slide, Mike. So one of them is Eclipse Training. This is a local gentleman that has a platform that helps with the automation of Department of Transportation and CDL compliance and regulations. And so we're pretty excited. This is, a company that can build out a platform and employ people locally and have a nationwide reach. Next slide. And then Rerouted. You might have seen the story in the Herald over the weekend. This is a company trying to create a platform that will help both sides of buying and selling used gear. And they have a team of 10 already, and they're working with some local developers to finalize their platform. Next slide. And then San Juan Eco Materials. This is a gentleman based in Ridgway that has a patent on a environmentally friendly hard case material. And so we're working with him to figure out what is the best industry for him to develop cases and take this to market. Next slide. And then Solvent is a fintech business that's doing banking and payment compliance. So we're excited about how they will be able to grow and kind of employ local people because we've had so many successful fintech businesses here. Next slide. And then Wonderful Wheels. As everyone can imagine with the pandemic, this is a very hot market right now of people wanting to customize vans. And so they have a shop out in Bodo, and we're working with them to see if it's better for them to do a lot of spec vans or custom vans, or the best way for them to grow and hire. Next slide. And then Spoke. This gentleman is licensing technology that can transform a picture into a speaker. And the sound quality is pretty impressive, and we're hoping that he'll be able to manufacture them locally. Next slide. Analytical Technologies is based in Farmington. He operates out of the San Juan College Incubator. He's been doing board repair for the oil and gas industry, and he's also been setting up solar charging stations. So we're excited to see how that can grow throughout the region. Next slide. So a lot of what we do at SCAPE is try to promote the region as a place where a business can thrive, whether it's a startup getting launched or an established business looking to grow. Recently, we had industry publications such as MarketWatch and Morningstar pick up the announcements about our companies. Cold Case was featured in Company Week, and SCAPE was recently featured in a Strong Towns article as an example of how a small community can enhance their downtown and also create employment opportunities. Next slide. And I also wanted to mention to this group, a few years ago, SCAPE partnered with the Center on Rural Innovation to bring some of the trainings and resources they provide to the area. Last year we did some Udacity trainings, and right now there's a Generation training, which is providing free IT support training for a 12-week program. And so if you know anyone that's interested, feel free to have them reach out. What's interesting about this training is that at the end, the goal is to actually place people in positions so that they're able to take advantage of the skills they learned and translate that into employment. And so that's all I have today. Any questions, feel free to ask or reach out to me about these trainings.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the update, Elizabeth. We sure appreciate what SCAPE does in the community and in creating jobs.
Thanks.
We'll move to Samantha Gallagher, the CFO of Durango 9R Schools. Welcome, Samantha. Good morning.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. With me, I have from Jacobs, Lynn Compton, and Bob Bush, and they're our program management. So we will just get started. You can go to the next slide. So we have a little bit of an update. We have hired a bond program management firm, Jacobs. They have started. They have 2 employees that have relocated to Durango and will be living here through the bond program. We've set up our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. This committee will meet monthly. They're going to review the status of the bond program, our budget to actuals, and help provide additional transparency to the community about the bond program. There will be a sustainability presentation tonight at the board meeting, and we will be determining an index to basically drive toward during this bond program to ensure that we are complying and really making sure that this is as sustainable as possible in any ways that we've determined. We will have our kickoff event on June 4th. I believe we will start communicating that out to our community fully here very shortly. And then I know that Bob has met with Emily and will continue to meet with Emily and other folks to really ensure that we are making our local vendors as accessible to this bond program as possible, on how to respond to the request for proposals and really drive towards using local vendors as much as possible. That is a board policy, and it's a commitment that we've made within the bond program. Next slide. So at this point in time, we are anticipating a 4-year bond program. We've modeled the high-level budget and schedules over those 4 years and determined large projects, which I'm sure you're aware of, Miller Rebuild, as well as a Career and Technical Innovation Center. We're looking for our quick start opportunities for this summer. Given the timing of getting funding after we went to market, it was a little bit difficult to start any big projects this summer, but we will be doing some projects. Next slide. So we have some pretty high-level district-wide needs that cover multiple campuses. Those include roofing, which we have assessments being done currently, and HVAC. HVAC took on a different kind of need as we were entering into this bond with COVID. So there are definitely some additional HVAC needs above and beyond what was originally anticipated. Jacobs is doing a phenomenal job packaging the work into more accessible and executable bundles to ensure that we can have vendors of all sizes participate in this program, as well as really driving towards that local resource capacity. We're also working on the contractor pre-qualification program and our request for quotes for architectural services for these packages. Next slide. This is our last slide, so I wanted to make this quick, but we will have a website. It will be accessible from the homepage. That should be available within the next 2 weeks. But on that web page, you will be able to find, and this is a long link, but you'll be able to find all information about the bond, the ballot language, the long-range planning committee information, our master plan, as well as bond oversight committee minutes. So we are really excited to be doing this bond and happy to have the community follow along and be involved in this process. So thanks for the time.
Super. Thanks so much, Samantha. We'll move to Deborah Salafia, the employment specialist. She's at Durango Workforce Center. Morning, Deborah.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Salafia. I work here at the Durango Workforce Center here in Durango. There's been some turnover in our offices, so we have a couple of new faces, myself and my coworker, Lucas Hess. Most of the people that were here for a great while, is my understanding, 20 to 30 years. So both myself and my coworker are fairly new at this, but I'm very excited to be here. You can go to the next slide. So Reemploy Colorado. The Colorado Department of Labor and Employment helps Colorado's unemployed workers return to work with virtual hiring, events, workshops, job search, support, and more. As you know, COVID has hit not just our area, national problem. And on February 1st, we reinstated a required work search activity for claimants. So prior to February 1st, anyone receiving unemployment benefits were simply required to keep a log of their work search activity and only had to produce that information if there was an audit on their claim. But now, as of February 1st, all persons receiving unemployment must actually enter this information at the same time they're requesting payment every week. So that's something that's pretty different to the unemployment process. You can go to the next slide. And then we'll skip a couple so I don't take too much time. You can go to the next one. We'll just go over some job trends. As you can see, from 2015 to 2020, jobs declined by 2.4% in La Plata County. It went from 29,435 to 28,741. This change fell short of the national growth rate by 1.3%. You can go to the next slide. And maybe go to the top growing, the next one. So as you can see, there's a large need for healthcare practitioners and persons in the technical fields, business and financial operations, and healthcare support. Next slide. Top growing industry growth, professional, scientific, and technical services. Educational services, management of companies and enterprises are at the top. You can go to the next one, please. And here you can see the age group that's the hardest hit right now in the unemployment sectors, basically between the 25 and the 44-year-olds. I have met with Emily and we're hoping to collaborate with the adult education program. Right now, my personal focus is helping the age group, the 55 and plus group. And the reason why I feel they need a whole lot more assistance right now is generally that most people in this age group lack basic computer skills. They don't really know how to navigate so well on a smartphone. And as you know, even applying for unemployment requires a computer at this point. They mostly don't do it by phone anymore. And they have to go through an ID.me process. That's another factor in unemployment right now. Anyone receiving unemployment must be verified by a third company by the name of ID.me. There's been quite a bit of fraud, again, with unemployment throughout the country. And several states have partnered with ID.me. We are one of them. So persons need to have a smartphone and a computer to get this done, to be verified in order to receive their benefits. And so many struggle with this. So I've met with Emily and again with Susan at the adult education program, and we hope to move forward with hopefully finding a way to get some courses provided to target this age group to help bring them up to speed with technology. And that's the group that really is eager to work. They really want to get out there. I speak to them every day, but they're afraid. They're afraid they'll apply, they'll get the job, and they won't know how to handle the basics of a computer. And even admin jobs, which we have quite a bit of them, and even restaurant jobs, if you don't know how to work a POS, it overwhelms that age group, and yet they're the ones really eager and wanting to get back to work. So moving forward for me, like I said, that's going to be our focus. And that's basically what I have here today. If you have any questions, you can find me here at the Durango Workforce Center. Again, my name is Deborah Salafia.
Super. And we had one request just to get your email, Deborah, if you don't mind, if you could.
Sure,
uh,
sure.
put that- Yeah, if you could put that in the
Absolutely.
chat, I think that'd be helpful.
Okay, I can type it in there, sure.
Super, thanks.
Thank
We'll move
you.
to Alice Mitchell and Carrie Woodson, Treasurer and Assessor for La Plata County. Morning, Allison. Morning, Carrie.
Morning.
Allison, are you there? I see Carrie. If you're there, you're on mute, Allison.
Maybe she stepped away for a minute.
Carrie, if you want to go ahead and get started, we'll kind of circle back to Allison, if that's okay.
That'd be great. Well, the reason I'm talking to you all today is I was asked by Emily to come and speak about the reassessment. Every 2 years, the state of Colorado requires all assessors to reassess, revalue all property in the county. In doing that, we use sales that occurred in the 2 years previous. So for the year 2021, we're looking at sales that occurred July the 1st, 2018 through June the 30th, 2020. So that's our data set. We look at all those sales and we determine if the value of the sales went up or down from our last data collection period. Then we apply percentage adjustments by neighborhood and by area based on those sales. We do this every 2 years, and then following the reassessment, May 1st, we send out notices of value. And this year we sent those out May 1st, and they're in now a postcard format that looks like this. And a lot of you probably got these if you're property owners. Within this, it tells the details of your property, how the value changed, if it's a house, the different bedroom, bath count, etc. And then it shows you how you can protest your value classification or inventory via online, call us on the phone, mail this in. There are lots of different ways that you can contact us regarding your valuation, classification, or inventory of your property. I wanted to say one other thing, and that is because of COVID this year, we did a little extra step that's never been done before. And that is we tried to document the change to the value of properties just due to COVID. What we did is we sat down with all our property types and said which ones were affected and which ones were not affected. The ones that were affected tend to be things like hotel motels, sit-down restaurants, standalone restaurants, movie theaters, things like this. Once we put them in line of how they were impacted, we applied an economic obsolescence factor to those improvements on those accounts. So in effect, we lowered the value a bit based on the impact from COVID. What we're seeing right now in the market is that we are rebounding very, very quickly. Residential didn't take any kind of a hit during COVID. In fact, residential did great. We had more sales than we've ever had as far as residential sales. And as you've probably seen in the newspaper, the values are quite high in our area. But commercial property, that's where we saw an impact from COVID. That's where we tried to adjust those properties for that impact. And we're seeing sales that are occurring since we're starting to rebound, and they are as high as ever. Some of those, for instance, I think you guys saw in the newspaper about a week ago, the Strater Hotel sold. That's as high profile as real estate as you can get in the state of Colorado. So we're going to have a lot of people talking to us about that sale. You know, was it a good sale so far? From what I can see, it was. And how does that equate to values for other type properties like that? So that's what we do here in the assessor's office. And if you all have any questions, all you've got to do is give us a call. We are happy to talk to anyone about how we do what we do, why we do it, and how it affects your property.
Super. Thank you, Carrie. Allison, good morning. I think we've
Good
got
morning.
There you go.
Good morning. I'm just here to support Carrie because I know that in January, when I send out the tax notices, it's going to reflect everything that Carrie just sent out on May 1st. And we're going to be getting the phone calls. And Carrie and I work hand in hand together although we have very different jobs. She does the assessment and I do the collection, but people get those confused, and that's okay. We're here to help people out and so that they understand the differences and explain things. We really want people to understand what we do and understand, where we work together and where we have very different roles. And neither Carrie nor I can change the taxes. As we all know, this is a Tabor state. Taxes are voted on. And with respect to metro districts, things like that, the people who live in those areas vote on the taxes and the mill levies for those areas. And then Carrie works with them, and the county commissioners, Matt Salka, Clyde Church, Marsha Porter Norton, do the certification at the end of the year. And so we're all involved. We all have a role in this, and a very different role, and that's checks and balances for the benefit of the taxpayer.
Super. Well, thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Allison, both for the update. Commissioner Salka, good morning. So nice
Good morning.
to see you.
Good morning. Thank you all. My name is Matt Salka, County Commissioner. I have a couple of brief updates so we can hear from the other municipal groups. But today we'll be considering appointments to the Wildfire Advisory Board. I have to say that there was a ton of applicants, and I am surprised and proud of how many experienced individuals we have in the county that have past experience in wildfires. Yesterday and today, we will be conducting interviews for our Community Corrections Board. On Thursday, I want to let you all know too as well, I have office hours from 4 to 6, but I want to urge you all that I put my contact information in the chat. Please reach out to me, email me, call me anytime. I'm here for you all. So just because I have office hours doesn't mean you have to wait till then. So please reach out anytime. The next item is the American Rescue Plan. And we received this information as of yesterday at 1:30 p.m. And we have, in the county, we have our finance team doing a deep dive on what we can and can't do. The other items too as well is that we have successfully registered with the Treasury Department, and we should be receiving our first $5 million check here very short soon. We also alerted Allison as well for our county treasury, and we'll be holding on to those funds and potential of investing to make some money off of that during the time of our process, which will be taking temperature from the public. We're going to be asking the priorities, your ideas on what we can do to spend with those funds. For example, housing, broadband, water and sewer infrastructure, the unhoused. So we look forward to the counties looking at, it's not final yet, but numbers were updated for the La Plata County, and we're looking at $10.9 million coming to the county. What I also want to stress too as well is that the county commissioners are not going to be working in a vacuum on this process. We want to make sure we hear from businesses, constituents, organizations, and come up with a public process to be able to provide input to us. So what we want to do is create legacy projects. We want to be able to invest in our county. So I look forward to hearing from you all. And again, please reach out to me anytime. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Salka. We'll move to Councilor Kim Baxter, or not. We'll move to Mayor Ashley Tarkington.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Just, I think the big exciting news coming out of Bayfield, tomorrow I will be at the title company closing on the first round of lots in our Cinnamon Heights subdivision that the town is purchasing. The remainder of the lots will close on the 17th. We have a long ways to go on this project. We understand that. We are starting to get a lot of questions from citizens in Bayfield. We will have plenty of open discussions and invites for the public to come in and listen to those. We will keep you posted on those. Lately, we've had a lot of annexation requests in town. We do have some businesses and potential developments interested in Bayfield that right now our land use code doesn't necessarily support. So we are revisiting a lot of that. Right now, our board tends to be very pro-business and pro-growth. So we're working on that. Big public service announcement today from 1 to 7 on Mill Street. We have the walk-in vaccine bus. You won't miss it. Giant bus parked on Mill Street. So you will be able to walk in and get the Pfizer or J&J vaccination from 1 to 7. We did interview finance directors. We have a candidate coming to Bayfield to visit this week. She's going to take a little tour of the area and maybe look for someplace to rent or buy. So that might be interesting there. Anyway, that's all I have. And I look forward to updating everybody on our big project that we're working on in Bayfield.
Super. Thanks so much, Mayor Tarkington. We'll move to Mark Garcia. He's the interim town manager for the town of Ignacio. Morning, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Mark Garcia, interim town manager for the town of Ignacio. I'm filling in for trustee Sharon Craig, who diligently attends these meetings and reports on behalf of the town of Ignacio. A few things to report here. We have been working with the Regional Housing Alliance, partners with La Plata County, City of Durango, town of Bayfield, on resurrecting that organization. Michael's been part of our conversations as the workforce housing task force is a priority for the alliance. So we're excited about that work. We're moving towards a retreat that will help us focus and determine what is best needed for the RHA to assist with the housing challenges in La Plata County. So that's exciting work. Also, we're working in Ignacio on a Rock Creek 3 housing project. We have 3 development concepts finalized with the help of SEH. And we're trying to move that to the next level with some infrastructure funding and maybe some modular construction analysis that will give us some costs associated with that housing. Our target is 60% affordable, and then hopefully some fair market housing in there to offset some of that. Exciting project. We have a new intersection, full movement intersection at Becker and Goddard intersection. We're the local agency working jointly with Ignacio School District and CDOT. That project will probably start in June. It's been awarded, and you'll see some impacts in town here as you travel through Ignacio on Main Street. We completed a broadband plan end of last year, early this year, and partnered with Fast Tracks for a DORA grant. Fast Tracks was the lead on it, and unfortunately we did not get funded. We're still looking at different options, but the project would have been funding broadband fiber to the premises throughout the town. And our plan has detailed all that's necessary to do that, along with the associated costs. And we want to keep moving that plan moving forward. There's quite a bit of funding potentially coming down the pipe through the rescue plan. And hopefully we can see some dollars landing in all of our communities to improve broadband. We know how critical that is. I had a webinar with Senator Hickenlooper last week talking about our broadband challenges. So very high priority. We'd like to see it happen in Ignacio. Lastly, I just want to conclude, we concluded our last Greater Ignacio vaccination clinic on Saturday. It was a volunteer effort with support from the town, school district, and Los Pinos Fire District. And we administered over 2,600 shots to members throughout our community and our county. So it was very successful. I think we're done. The demand is down, and we're very happy to do that. And I think there is a lot of successes that help us reach that 50% plus vaccination level. So thank you for your time. Have a great day, everybody.
Super. Thanks so much for the update, Mark. I saw Kim Baxter joined us. Councilor Baxter, do you have an update from the city for us this morning?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I had a medical appointment that took longer than usual. I actually don't have much to say. I just, we're looking at today, we'll be appointing liaisons for boards and commissions, and the Economic Alliance is one of those. So I'm hoping that I will be your next liaison, but we'll see how council works on that.
Super. Well, thanks so much, Councilor Baxter. I think we'll turn it back over to Mike French, our Executive Director, to talk about membership a little bit and then work towards concluding the meeting. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Jameson. I'm going to jump through all these slides and get back to the beginning very briefly. We have a renewal slide that I'd like to recognize some members who have just recently renewed. Okay, here we go. Renewed membership in May, Chairman's Circle. We want to welcome First Southwest Bank. Really excited to have them part of the Chairman's Circle group. Thank you so much, Kent and his team. They are recognized as, I think, Business of the Year by the Durango Rocks. So really excited to have them at the table, helping us with the direction of the economic landscape in our community. Investor Region 9 has always been a phenomenal supporter. We thank them for their continued membership, as well as BID. Tim has just done such a stellar job in this community over the last 12 months and even prior to that. But boy, did BID step up during the crisis to keep all of downtown as healthy as possible. Associate members, payroll department, we actually have some news coming out of payroll that we'll announce maybe at the next membership meeting. They have a new executive team that we'll probably introduce. Visit Durango. They're excited about the lodgers tax that just got passed. I know that Rachel's working really hard to figure out sustainable tourism and what that means. And then Newbold, Chapman, and Geyer, thank you so much for your guys' continued support. And last but not least, Express Employment. They're at a friends level, and we appreciate them renewing as well. Jameson, that's it for our day. I'm surprised, just based on how dense our agenda was, that we got through it the way we did. But this is an anomaly for us to have a few minutes left at the end of the hour and still have, get through the agenda. But want to thank all of our presenters, and I can tell you that we have at least, and I think you all may feel this, but at the Alliance, I feel like we've turned a corner. We're no longer spending 24/7 talking about recovery and stimulus, although we're not out of the woods, as Brian Devine stated. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're actually talking about, I heard 2022, even 2024 in today's Alliance meeting, and boy, we've never heard that before. It's always been next 2 weeks, next month, where are we at in terms of recovery and stimulus and getting folks healthy and to open back up. So it feels great to talk about strategic initiatives. It feels fantastic to work on long-term issues and address them for our economic vitality into the future. Jameson, back to you.
No, I appreciate it, Mike. I agree. It certainly feels like a little bit of a shift. And it's a miracle. I don't know that we've ever gotten done right at 9 or on time. So really appreciate.
Jameson, we didn't get to introduce and put a face to the 3-9R bond connected to Jacobs. And can I let Bob Bush talk for a minute to introduce his team, please?
Absolutely.
Good morning, folks. I'm sort of a latecomer to this. I appreciate being able to be involved in this and get to know the community and your very strong economic development efforts. Very impressive. I currently lead the program in the phase it's called mobilization, which is getting everything up and running and organized. And I have two of my colleagues who are permanent residents of Durango, recently moved here to really plug themselves in, not just to our bond program, but to all the ripples of this bond program, which we hope will be a very significant factor in the economic future of the community as well. So we have Lynn Compton, who you were introduced to, and Lynn is going to be handling a lot of our coordination, communication efforts, as well as outreach. So she'll be someone who will be in contact as sort of the face to this for the local vendor community and trades and contractors. Devin Merriman is our senior project manager, and he'll also wind up being the senior person that's actually overseeing all the work. And Samantha mentioned earlier about the packaging and bundling to make sure that we're maximizing the local opportunity. And Devin is principally in charge of making sure that those bundles and packages are basically put together in such a way that it does create the maximum benefit for community. So we'd like for you to embrace our family here. We embrace this community, and we're very, very happy to be part of this. And thank you very much for having us.
Super, thank you, Bob. Anything else from Devin or Lynn? Good morning.
We have some terrible speakers on our end, so I'll just say we're happy to be part of the community and relocating down here, and hope to get to know everyone really well.
Yeah, just to mimic what Lynn said, moved my wife and my kiddo down here, so we're really excited to get going and start building some cool stuff here.
Well, welcome to the community. Again, thank you everyone for joining this morning. Get vaccinated, get out, support local, be safe, and we will get newsletters out this month and see all of you next month. Thank you so much and have a great week.